Welcome back to Conversation. Here we are, part two, discussion with Mark regarding fighters' pay and basically fighters' rights and fighters' future. Uh, so to begin with, Mark, I don't know if you heard about it, but it just so happened in between our two parts, Daniel Cormier came out and said that he was fine with. He thought it was a good thing that fighters' pays were kept private. And personally, I was thinking like the timing was really weird because we were having this conversation yesterday and today, and I was just thinking how crazy it is that a role model like him is basically telling other fighters, no, no, this is the normal that the pay is not revealed. I don't know if you heard about it.
No, I didn't hear about it, and I think they do reveal the pays of the fighters, not to the total amount, but they still reveal a lot of the pay.
Okay, but not to the total amount is kind of like the main key here, I guess, because how can people negotiate if they don't even know their worth in the business, so to speak? You know?
Yeah, there's no point in a beginner person coming into the company or whatever company and asking for ridiculous amounts when they haven't even earned it. I mean, you should get paid what you're worth, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to go back to on part one, because you did mention that I don't remember if you say you didn't like to deal with agents or that you didn't deal with agents anymore. Which was it?
What's it? Sorry?
So you were talking in the previous part, you were discussing agents and how
Yes.
yeah. So did you do without the agents altogether, or were you just very picky with who you chose? How did you do it?
Well, you can have as many agents as you want. I think you have to have an agent that knows what he's doing and doesn't cheat you. Because I mean, I've had a bad experience with agents, but yeah, I mean, I deal with the stuff myself these days. But there's always good to have another perspective as an agent, to be honest, and that's the bottom line. Yeah, but I mean, I deal with my stuff myself these days. Yeah.
I do want to I do want to ask you about that because let's say that other fighters are like starting listening to this, and you say that you handle it yourself now. So, is there a sort of obviously maybe not all the details, but is there like a number you can give how they could go about it?
If there's a what, sorry?
Yeah. So, is there like this outline you can kind of give? Obviously, not all the details, but let's say that a fighter listens to this and he's listening to your words, and you say I do it myself now. So, is there sort of an outline because there's the legal aspect of the contract, and I'm thinking maybe you hire a lawyer. Do you do it?
Well, an agent is supposed to look after you with everything, different things, financial, set up all your trust, organize your week, your day. But if you're not busy like that, you don't need an agent. I mean, unless you join a group that is working with something, but with a company. But I still think you don't really need an agent. You can do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
People start to approach you about different things with fights and everything. You know, it's hard these days because you can't negotiate. You don't know what it is you're worth these days. If you're beginning, it's only, well, if the agent's not looking after your whole day, you don't need it if you're not busy. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They organize contracts for you and that's it. They're done. What are they going to do? Organize your sponsors. They've got to do this. They've got to do that.
Mm-hmm. When you go about it for a contract, how do you take care of that?
Well, it depends. When I was with I get a lawyers. My manager's a lawyer, also. So I get the contracts looked at, and then I just say, okay, he tells me the pros and cons of it. But with different companies like the UFC, it's hard to negotiate because their contracts are just shit. Their contracts are for them. There's no any movement for you at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what advice? Because this is kind of like something that I really wanted us to discuss. Have your input on this. What advice would you give to starting fighters? Like, because you, of course, you have your name in the business. You know, you made your name. But let's say starting fighters, like, what advice do you give them when it comes to maybe at first they'll need an agent for sure, or maybe they cannot be as choosy. But is there some general advice that you can give that you learned over the years?
Yeah, so if you want to become a prize fighter, you have to beat everyone in your country. So you're the number one. And then you beat the neighboring countries, and then you're ready to go to everywhere else. It's not going to be you telling everyone that you're ready to go to the world stage. It's everyone else telling them about you, because you'll beat everyone. And then when you get people to start approaching you, then you start needing to look for some help. Unless you can do it yourself, you start looking for guys that need help, and that's it. But I mean, essentially, you're just getting third-hand information if you bring an agent in. If you want to do it yourself, you just say, okay, the people that offer you contracts, so you'll deal with it yourself. You look after your own contracts, you have a look at it. And then that's how it goes from there.
Yeah.
So you got to beat everyone in your country, the neighbors, and so on and so forth, as you go higher and higher. People will approach you. You know, there's no if you're good enough.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that. Maybe it's just my impression of it, but it seems like fighters are starting to make some moves, because you see Henry Cejudo, who just kind of like said, okay, you're not paying me, I'm retiring. And then you have Jones and Ngannou, which almost happened, and then they both said they weren't offering us enough. So Conor McGregor actually, many months back, because of the ESPN deal, was kind of like, okay, I'm not interested in how I'm getting paid now, and he was saying that he was going to retire. So do you feel like, if in the past fans didn't want fighters to have more rights because they wanted to see a fight they wanted to see, do you think that fighters maybe now are understanding that they can also play the game? Like, okay, if you want to see the fights that you want to see, pay me, which is kind of like, do you think there's starting to be more of a fighting back on that side of things?
Well, the fighters have always had the power. They just didn't realize it. The fighters have always had the power to do things. And depending on where you are, and that's, I mean, if, like I said, if all the fighters just said, I don't want to fight, this company's screwed. You know, they'll have to come and sit down and talk about stuff to make it fair. Right now, they're getting paid 12%, which is rubbish. So if all the fighters in the UFC said, you know what, stuff your fucking company, I don't give a fuck, I'm not working, you'll see automatically they'll be looking for someone, well, how do we fix this? It's easy. Pay us 40% of the revenue instead of 12%. So wherever you are in the line of fighting, whether you're a champ or the other champ, you should be getting paid that kind of money. Mm-hmm. And we see this by these fighters like Cejudo and the other guys complaining because they're starting to realize, oh, I should be getting way more. Well, fucking straight up, you're supposed to be getting way more.
Yeah, Cejudo basically saved the whole weight class by himself, you could argue. So it's kind of crazy that
they're getting cheated, and that's what's so stupid about it. They're getting cheated, and the thing is, that's what UFC is going to do. They're going to just go, you know what? We'll take the title and we'll give it to someone. We'll do something else. But that just goes to show how crooked they are. They don't want to pay the money because they're trying to make an example of everyone that tries to do that. But how about if everyone did the same thing? Do you think they'll be able to do that? No, they can do it to about 3 or 4. But if everyone said, you know, stuff you in your fucking crooked titles and your crooked shit, we're not going to move for you guys, and they'll have nothing. I swear the company will be done. And the fighters, I'm pretty sure they're starting to realize that they're getting screwed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you get to the championship belt or the championship title, you're still going to get screwed.
Yeah.
So, you know, now the thing is, they say people can just keep coming in and saying, oh, I'll just do it for nothing. I'll do that. That's a load of shit, man. They'll do it until they start getting their faces wrecked, and they'll say, oh, I need some more money. Why, motherfucker? You wanted to do it for free? Yeah. Let's just give you a hiding for free, and then when you're all fucked up and can't talk properly, we'll chuck you out and get someone else in. Some other idiot that thought they could get to the top, and when they get the belt, they could change things.
Yeah, no, I never like it when fighters, because say something like that, like, oh, I would fight for like in a parking lot for like, you know, whatever, and I'm just thinking like, you're devaluing yourself and like,
exactly, you're an idiot. That's what you are. You say you're fighting in the car park. Yeah, well, come over here and I'll give you a hiding in the car park. You fucking moron. Yeah. Idiot.
Yeah, also, yeah, the parking lots are a bit different than a ring or an octagon. But and something else I was wondering, and this is where maybe you can tell me how if I see it wrong, or there's other organizations that of course are not as big as UFC. So you have Bellator, you have, I don't know, even other martial arts like in kickboxing like Glory, you have Leadweight becoming a thing, bare knuckle fighting. So I was wondering, like, is there an aspect, and maybe I'm wrong here, but let's say someone is in the UFC right now, would it be possible for them to move to another organization, get a better pay just because they would want to say they have a
No,
fight? That,
no, no,
no?
no, no, no.
Okay.
See, the thing about probably Henry Secuda now he's stuck. I don't know how long his contract is or how
Ah,
it's for. So what they'll try and do is they'll make him sit at the back end of the bus. Now that he said he's retired, he's not going to be able to fight anywhere.
yeah.
So their contracts make you locked in for a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
You can't fight anywhere. So you
Yeah.
can't make money. So you're sitting there, they're going to keep you screwed there. And, if they try to work somewhere else, they'll sue you. That's how crooked these fuckers are.
Yeah.
So contracts, when you sign your contract, make sure you look at it properly. It's in a lawyer, sports lawyer, whatever. You make sure you look at. And I mean, the contract with the UFC are pretty airtight. The airtight is in like it's only for them. You know, you'll never win in court against a lot of these contracts that they have.
Hmm. Well, so but I'm still curious about this one aspect, which I'm wondering about because I don't know how it works there, but let's say someone fights out the contract like you did, like okay, free agent, you fight out your contract, you do all the fights. And are there small organizations that would pay more to have a specific fighter? Is that something possible where maybe people stay with the UFC just for the name recognition, but maybe they could get paid better somewhere else, but maybe it would be a smaller place, so to speak? Is that something that would be doable, or?
Yeah, they could. They could get paid more elsewhere. I mean, some fighters are getting more sponsorship money than they were getting fighting. Or that you could be done. It's like I said, you just have to look at your contract if you're already contracted when it's up.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think because I know you're trying for the Ali Act and MMA and all that, but do you think in the meantime maybe more of a mentality of free agency would basically help the fight game and the fighters get better pay, better treatment? Just like this mentality of it doesn't have to be this organization absolutely. I'll just see who offers me what, basically. Because I think some people it's just like they're so
Well,
proud to
yeah. I
be.
mean, if you're
Yeah,
beginning, of course. If
yeah,
you're a beginner fighter and you haven't got a name, of course,
mhm.
go and look at different organizations. But I mean, you can't be going there when you're a beginner fighter. No one knows who you are and start asking for big money because you're a beginner.
Yeah.
Beginner fighters get beginner money. Guys that are household names globally should be getting more, of course.
But even the big names, what I mean is, it's rare that you see big names in the UFC say, "Okay, I'm going somewhere else now." Like you don't really see
They
that.
can't. They can't. They're in a contract.
But even when they fight it out, or is it just?
So,
And
so when they fight out their contract and they're free agents, then they can do that. But while they're doing that, people normally stay where they are because they have a contract that binds them for a couple of years after.
mm,
You know, you
oh, I
just
thought
have
it
to.
was
Yeah,
only
you have to look
fighting.
at your contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's worse than I thought because I thought it was like this amount of fights and then you're free. But you're
No.
saying there's also added time after a fight.
Well, you have to look at your contracts.
Okay,
You
depending
have
on.
to. You have to look at the contracts and what stays in the contract, and that's when you know when you can go and work for a different company. You're not actually a free agent straight away.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so you have to look at your contract.
So maybe not a full solution, but something that would really help already from what I'm hearing is maybe just making sure that a contract at the very least, especially for someone who maybe doesn't have like lots of options, but at least making sure that after a fight, you don't have like some time where you have to wait. Do you think that
Well,
would already?
that's what I'm saying to you. Like before, there's no point in trying that when the contract's already stuck. The contracts that they make are airtight, plus they have extended time on it. So you can't make contracts when you're coming in. The people who make the contract, are the guys who do it. So when they say to you, "Here's your contract," unless you're a big name, you can't negotiate. You just take the contract. So you're stuck. If you get what I'm saying. So you can't say to them, "I want this the way they want this, and this." Not when you're a beginner. Not when you're coming in. You just have to take what you're given.
Okay.
And
So
those that say, "I want this," have to find somewhere else.
so that's where something like the Ali Act would help starting fighters?
Well, the Ali Act will bring a lot of transparency, as in like with different things, a lot of different things, and that's where they can see what they should be getting.
Yeah.
And changing their contracts. That's why, we're in this lawsuit for against it, because we're trying to bring it in so it evens out everything, especially with those guys that are just using their power.
Yeah, so it's kind of like when you look at it from the outside, and especially like when you're in there, the business, and sometimes I look at it, and maybe now in retrospect a bit naively, where it's okay, there's more and more organizations, more and more options, and I'm thinking that has to help, right? But then I'm hearing it's kind of like they thought of it,
Yeah, everything you think about, like with trying to do that, you can't, because their contracts are pretty tight.
Yeah.
You try and move, you're stuck. You don't get a start anywhere unless you take the contract, and their contracts are pretty binding. So all the things, the options you've thought about, you can jump from one organization to the other, you can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to wait out your time.
There's no like buyouts or anything like that, or I guess again maybe it depends on the contract. But is that something that people hear about in the business, like maybe like a buyout price, like where if you want to end it ahead of time, this much, but I guess they don't even include that, right? Or do they?
Well, yeah, man, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
To be honest, they'll be able to do whatever they want, but are they going to waste money on someone that's just a beginner?
No, for sure. No, now I was also including like even veterans in the example. It's just kind of like a more general thing. Yeah, it is a depressing picture, to be honest. Like because it's kind of like I look at it from the outside and I'm thinking of these things. Oh, maybe this, maybe that. But of course, if it hasn't been done, it's for a reason. So that's also why I wanted to discuss it with you, because these are thoughts I've had, but also things I read from other people, and like people are kind of like, oh well, they have options, and then you kind of realize maybe they don't have the options that people think they do, and it's important to say it.
People think all these things that they have options and everything, but those are the people that have not been in contracts with these things. These are the people that say all these, they can do this, this, and that. But just like you just realized, there's not many options. There's a lot of things they've thought about before they organize this contract.
Yeah, and I realize that even sometimes people say stuff like, for example, if I take the UFC as an example, and then I wait like Dana White will never play well, never, and then people say like, oh, for this fight, why won't he? And because in the long term, like he doesn't want to give an inch. In the long term, he doesn't want to give an inch, and that's why like he might let someone go like Cejudo, or he might drop Jones versus Ngannou, because he doesn't understand like as soon as he gives an inch, that inch will never be recovered. So I wish fighters were paid better, but I see why it happens like that. Like it's kind of frustrating, but obviously the guy on the other side of the fight not give an inch.
Yeah, he can let a few guys go, but you can't let at least 5 or 6 people go. You can't let the top guys go. He's got to start changing things. That's why I thought, well, Cejudo's asking more money. Maybe they'll pay him to be quiet and continue to fight. These other guys ask for money because they're starting to realize a lot more people want what they're worth, and they're not getting it now. And if more fighters will stand up and say, no, I need to get more money, then everyone will start speaking like that, and there'll be a mutiny. And then what is Uncle Dana going to do? Uncle Dana's going to go kiss everyone's dick. That's what Uncle Dana's going to do. He's going to go, okay, people don't pay money to watch him and any of those office workers. They pay to see fighters fight. They don't pay to see them. Okay? People say that the UFC have Dana did all this for MMA. MMA was going that way anyway. They were just lucky they did it. MMA was going that way anyway.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time. People started to connect with the actual sport, and that's it. I think they're the ones that actually invented MMA, which is a horseshit. They just made the vessel that everyone wanted to see anyway.
That's something that I agree fully with you, because I will give that Dana White is a really good businessman, and he's really good at manipulating the masses. So these are things I think of him. If they're compliments in a way.
He's not good at manipulating. People just don't realize he's not good at manipulating the masses. People just realize that they think that UFC is MMA. He's fooled them with that shit. It's like, MMA is not UFC. MMA is MMA. So I mean, all he's done is just people like just like when MMA came out and started, people aren't educated about it. But when they get educated about MMA, they change their minds and go, oh, okay, so that's what it's about.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they get educated, they understand. Just like people are educating themselves now about how things work and how the fighters work. It's all it is, just a process, and it's a matter of time before the UFC starts changing their ways. Because if it's not us, it'll be someone else that's going to make them change their ways. They can't hold monopoly and screw all the fighters continually for this amount of time and continue to do it. It's just not right.
So I guess that leads me to basically perhaps the last but the most important question is, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel at this point? Do you see like something? Do you feel like something might be about to change or not yet? Or how do you see it?
Well, of course, it's just it's going to be if it's not us, it's going to change. It's going to be a matter of time before just people just keep flooding these guys with lawsuits and different things. What they're doing is making sure that they hold this monopoly, and that's what they're trying to do with their new contracts, their new COVID bullshit law. And if you're an employee, if you're a person that works with UFC, speak up about them, you're going to get sued. You know, but if you're speaking the truth about what they're doing, then they can't sue you. And what they're doing is screwing everyone. So
Yeah,
people are getting more educated about it. People like me and other people are speaking up about it, and it's just nothing's going to change unless it gets changed about these laws. You know, bringing in the Ali Act will be amazing for the fighters and help their pay packet change a lot. But yeah, it's just a matter of time. I mean, I think we've been at it like 6 years. These guys have been trying to bring the Ali Act. It's costed a lot of money. And you know, my lawsuit's coming to about an end, especially with the steroids. But of course, the UFC have got plenty of power and money, influence, and that's all they're going to try and use it. They're going to use all that influence and power to try and keep things the way they are.
yeah.
Keep the things the way they are.
Yeah.
Keeping fighters down, keeping them locked in, keeping the money down, not to have the Ali Act in, just keep making bank. And they're doing it because they just of money, of course. I mean, and only people winning out of this is, and the people are paying to watch this. People are paying them to get richer and richer and more powerful and more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, and in a way, you're kind of calling me out because I do watch those fights and I do pay for them. But I know that on my side of things, I'm kind of disgusted by MMA media itself in a way, because it's kind of like they just repeat whatever they hear. And I'm not the first one to say this, but and it's kind of like, where are the investigations really? Where are the? And I'm not the first one to say this, but there's not many people seeing it, and that's kind of
media for you. That's all they do. They just, if you say something bad about the company, you won't be doing any more fids in the company. If you say something about this company, but that's where it's going to be full. I mean, they're going to be getting to a stage where everyone's just going to want to hammer them. You can't be doing that to everyone. I mean, same thing like with I won't use an example, but if you keep using bad business practices and screwing people, it'll come back. You burnt so many bridges, they're going to come back. People aren't happy with you. You shouldn't be doing these things. You shouldn't be doing these things to people and fighters and all those things. I mean, nothing's going to change until people start doing things about it. And that's what I know. People talk about me doing all the time. I said, well, I'm looking for change. I'm trying to make things even and trying to get a change. So I joined this lawsuit. I joined the Ali Act boys. I joined them. I got my personal lawsuit going. And they said, it's just you. Well, it doesn't matter if it's just me. What I'm doing is right.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is standing up for change that I went through. I'm sick of these guys cheating me and then using these guys that are using steroids and getting away with it. And I didn't just talk about it. I put everything on the line. I'm doing it myself because I want change. So I'm not just talking all this garbage. It's something I've experienced and want to change myself.
Yes, and that's something that you should be given credit for, because it's a lot of people complain about what they're paid, and a lot of people complain about people cheating, and and that's one of the reasons why when people talk greatest of all time, like there's people throw names in there that are people who were known to use steroids and all that. And for example, I look at
don't even bother considering these guys. Yeah, you wouldn't even consider them.
Yeah.
People that get on the list of the greatest of all time. For me, that's just a laugh. Those guys are cheating. Plus, this organization is crooked as. So, I mean, they'll put whoever is in thing for a title shot. It's just all they're doing is a money hungry company, and things will only change when people start recognizing and understanding. And I think that's coming soon. I think there's not too far away where the Aliat gets bought in, and a lot of people start realizing. I think they're really starting to realize that a lot of things are bad are happening to the fighters. It's not right.
Yeah.
Only change is going to make it. So.
Yeah, I was thinking of this idea. Like it's hard to get all of the fighters together because in a way they're like the competition with each other. But maybe if all the champions got together at least, like that, all at the same time, that would look bad. I don't know, but
that could work. I mean, that could work. All the champions get together. I mean, like I said, you'll need 51% of the fighters to change their mind and say we're not working. I mean, the fighters have all the power. They just need to get together and start pushing their power and say, you know what, you guys are giving us 12% of the revenue. We want 40%, or you're not going to get nothing. And then they're going to get a lot of pressure from the TV companies. All these people, the fans are going to pressure them. And this is the difference. The people that actually pay for it have got the power. The fighters have got the power and the people. If no one pays the pay-per-views and no one buys the UFC stuff, guess what happens? Mm-hmm. They're going to go, why is our pay-per-views down? Why is all this not working? Well, we're going to boycott your company because you guys are just ripping people off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens. So, I'm talking about it all the time, but I mean, until something's done about it, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it still needs to be said and repeated and repeated and repeated because.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I need more people to do it. I need more people to speak up about it, do more podcasts. That's what I'm doing. I'm just, like I said, I'm actually doing something about it. I'm in 2 lawsuits against it because I'm speaking up against it. And to be honest, I don't care if people keep saying, oh, you just whinge this and that. No, I want change. Even though I'm not in the company anymore, I've been in there, done that. Old news. I mean, when the fighters start crying about more money, I start laughing. I was like, you know what? Well, that's nothing new. That's the usual shit with that company. They're ripping people off. You need to do something about it. Together.
So like in a way, it's kind of funny in the business where everyone is calling out other people. Oh, you want to fight and all that. How about not naming any names, but how about a call out to anyone who's a fighter with influence? Like let's do a call out of try to change things too. Like let's do that call out in a very generic way. Anyone who's a fighter who has some influence, come on, get together, talk it out, manage something. At the end, you'll be making even more money. I think if they just do that for a moment, and it's kind of frustrating to watch from the outside, and I'm sure it's different in the inside, but it's just when I hear you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense. So, and I understand that a lot of fighters don't like each other because even they have to see each other as competition, all that sometimes, but I swear.
Can I just say something? When I saw the thing about John Jones and Nagano, I actually felt good. I said, okay, that's good. Regardless whether I dislike John Jones for his cheating ways, I think I thought to myself, well, they're standing up for themselves. They want more money. Well, that's fucking good. Yeah. Now we need more guys to stand up. It's not that because I just think it's better together to do it and say, I don't hate you or anything. I just think it's good if you recognize what's going on. You can't be fighting forever. Your light's going to be out sooner and then someone else will come along. So you need to go and organize yourselves so you guys can make hay while the sun is still shining. Because as a fighter's cycle, athlete cycle, you have to start saving money when you're up. Because there's always going to be a downtime. You're never going to be up all the time. There's always a downtime. But when that downtime comes, you better be ready. Yeah. So it was good to see these fighters stand up and say, I want more money. And I think more fighters in the league, whatever league, say, you know what? I need more money. And we need to start with UFC fighters. I need more money. I don't want to do this. Together, you can do it. Not singly, together. And that's the only way.
Yeah. And, I think there's something to be said about the fact that, as you said, and I personally I agree with you regarding John Jones. I'll say it. But I also like what happened because John Jones and Ngannou were talking shit online, but then when the time came to, oh no, we're not gonna pay you more for this, they both kind of were on the same page. Like, that's good. And I was thinking that's very good.
That's good. And every fighter should see that and keep going and say, okay, I'm not gonna make a move until a fair share is organized. And even though they're under contracts, they can all do that. They can all just say, I don't like this. You guys aren't doing the right thing. And then, what are the UFC going to do? They either sit at the table or pull out their lawyers and sue everyone. So that means they've got no company, and then they're screwed.
Mhm. Yeah, and right now Endeavor is not doing so good. So in a way, if fighters strike, it's a perfect time.
Well, my beef was against the old owners, especially with the steroids. That's why I've got my lawsuit. But the new owners, I'm in the Aliac with the other boys. We're trying to make things even there. That's like when I put my lawsuit down, it was owned by the Fertitta brothers.
Okay.
And it was because of the steroids. I was sick of it, and that's why I had to do something about it. I'm not gonna just sit and talk about it. I'll do something about it. You can't force people to fight, and that's what they did to me. They can't keep allowing guys to use steroids and get away with it because that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and afterwards when Brock Lesnar came back and he almost fought DC Cormier, I thought it was such a circus because it's oh yeah, welcome back, and then he holds the whole division for what was it? How long was it that he held the division? It's it was a circus. Yeah, it's kind of what's going on here? That guy just was gone, and then of course we found out the steroids, and he was changing, and then he finally ended up fighting because you can understand. Oh, he didn't want to do it with steroids. That's what he meant, because you saw that maybe he was a bit more strict. It was just a circus that held the whole division for a while. And I'm just thinking at some point, when is the sport going to be treated and what's your words, but also as a fighter? If you beat these guys, when I say Tony Ferguson spat, I'm what's going on? And okay, I know that Gaethje beat him recently, but before that, you're just thinking finally he has the title shot. Anyway.
That's because the UFC don't have the early acting, and it's not because how much fight you win. You get a title shot when they want to give you a title shot. They do it on their terms. Nothing is on your terms.
Yeah. Well, listen, Mark. Thank you very much for your time. This has been really enlightening for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I say thanks for having me on your show and keep spreading the word about trying to make things even. I'm trying to do it with the other guys in these lawsuits. Regardless whether we got no money, we're still trying because we want change. And all the people that watch this and all the fighters that watch this, make sure you know what you're getting into, and things can change in an instant.
Yeah. Is there anywhere they should go online if they want more information on this or whatever they should Google, or any addresses, URLs, or?
Like I said, I'm just in my lawsuits in the law courts and fighting this, trying to make some change this way. I mean, as for the unions, for everything, it's hard to be, like I said, you try to talk to everyone involved and they just, I can't do all this and that, but they have nothing to go to. But it'll take some time. It'll take some time, and that's what happens.
How about,
at the end of the day, that's what happens. I think we should just keep spreading the word and educating people about it, and that's it. It'll change when it wants to change.
Yeah. So as a concluding thought, I think if any fighter listen to this or is interested in having more information from you, how about, can they contact you directly on Instagram? Just message you?
Yeah, they can contact me on Instagram if they want more information about it. If they need any help with anything, just contact me on my Instagram. I can normally get back to people, but like I said, I do my own social media, so I don't really let anyone else do it. That's why it's always people swearing shit at me, and but can contact me on my Instagram if you need help. Mark Unfighter, yeah.